Hi guys, I'm here today with part 2 of my September book haul. I've got some sneaky purchases here that I made myself and one book that was sent to me by a publisher too. So I'll start with the one that was sent to me by a publisher. Now, I didn't request this one for review, but it was sent to me by my lovely friend Scott, who used to work at HarperCollins and has recently set up his own publishing company called Aardvark Publishing, and this is called The Miner by Natsume Soseki. And it has, I have noticed, a quote from Murakami on the back. Now, this is an old Japanese novel that he has reissued. It's translated from the Japanese by J. Rubin, and it says, "The Miner is the most daringly experimental and least well-known novel of the great Japanese writer Natsume Soseki. Written in 1908, it explores the indeterminate nature of human personality. An absurdist tale in many respects, The Miner anticipates the works of Joyce and Beckett. The story unfolds entirely within the mind of an unnamed protagonist, a young man whose love life has fallen to pieces. As the man flees Tokyo, he is picked up by a procurer of cheap labour for a copper mine, and then travels toward and finally burrows into the depths of the mine, where he hopes to find oblivion." In a stunning translation by J. Rubin and featuring an introduction from Haruki Murakami, the new edition of The Miner brings a lost classic to a new audience. I don't think I've read any Japanese classics, and I love Japanese literature, so I'm really looking forward to getting to this one. I really like the design of it as well. I think it's really beautiful, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. Thank you very much, Scott. So the next one I want to talk about is this one, which I'm I can't tell you how excited I am about it. I bought it the day it came out, and I'm going to be reading it in the next day or so, maybe even when I've just finished filming this video, because I'm so excited. It's called Grief is the Thing with Feathers by Max Porter, and it's kind of based on Crow by Ted Hughes, which is one of my favourite poetry collections ever. Crow is a collection of poems about a crow, which is kind of like God, and he lords over the world, but everything's gone wrong, and it's like a purgatory and a fable and a parable, and it's wonderful and disturbing and gritty and amazing. Anyway, so this is poetry, novella, fable. It refuses to be categorized, so it probably would have fit in quite well with my narrative structures video that I uploaded yesterday, which I'll leave a link down below if you haven't already seen. So it says inside, "Once upon a time there was a crow who wanted nothing more than to care for a pair of motherless children. In a London flat, two young boys faced the unbearable sadness of their mother's sudden death. Their father, a Ted Hughes scholar and scruffy romantic, imagines a future of well-meaning visitors and emptiness. In this moment of despair, they are visited by Crow, antagonist, trickster, healer, babysitter. This sentimental bird is drawn to the grieving family and threatens to stay until they no longer need him. As weeks turn to months and the pain of loss gives way to memories, the little unit of 3 starts to heal. In this extraordinary debut, part novella, part fable, part essay on grief, Max Porter's compassion and style combine to dazzling effect. Full of unexpected humour and profound emotional truth, Grief is the Thing with Feathers marks the arrival of a thrilling new talent." Yeah, I think I'm going to read this as soon as I finish filming. Yep, excited. The next book that I bought is a short story collection, and I bought it because I spied it on Mercedes' channel, and this is By Light We Knew Our Names by Anne Valente. Look at that cover, it's the Northern Lights. It's so beautiful. Actually, today I've been filming videos with Holly about His Dark Materials and Northern Lights, and feeling quite emotional about it. We both nearly cried, so there'll be videos going up on Tuesday, I think, one on her channel and one on mine. So if you're a fan of His Dark Materials, or if you're not, but if you've read them and you want to hear us ramble about them, come back on Tuesday. Dude, those books, they make me emotional. Anyway, this is a different Northern Lights. So it says, "From midnight sirens to pink dolphins to a fight club of young women who meet beneath the aurora borealis, By Light We Knew Our Names examines the beauty and heartbreak of the world we live in, and the one that hovers just beyond it, enigmatic and out of reach. Across 13 stories, this collection explores the thin border between wonder and loss, between magic and grief, within the human experience." So there's that. The next one I bought is a science fiction book, and I bought it because I have a feeling that it's what Michelle Faber's The Book of Strangely Things was inspired by, though I may well be wrong, and a few people have said that to me before, and I thought that I might check it out. It sounds wonderful even if it's not, and it's called The Sparrow by Mary Dorian Russell. After the first exquisite songs were intercepted by radio telescope, the UN diplomats debated long and hard whether and why human resources should be expended in an attempt to reach the world that would become known as Rat Cat. In the Rome offices of the Society of Jesus, the questions were not whether or why, but how soon the mission could be attempted and whom to send. The scientists went there so that they might come to know and love God's other children. They went for the reason Jesuits have always gone to the farthest frontiers of human exploration. They went for the greater glory of God. They meant no harm. So it is about people travelling to another planet to preach the word of God, which is what the Book of Strange New Things is about. So considering that was my favourite book of last year, I figured I would check this one out too, considering it came before, and probably I will be comparing the two, which is maybe not fair, but I shall be. I can't help it. The next book is entirely the fault of Marie Phillips, who wrote God's Behaving Badly. I was on book tour with her in Sweden, and she told me about this book, The Blue Flower by Penelope Fitzgerald, which is a historical novel set in 1794, and it's about a man called Fritz who wants to marry a 12-year-old girl. So she said she thought that I might like it, considering my love for things like The Dumb House and Lolito, which is by Ben Brooks. It's a like modern redo of Lolita, so she thought that I might like this because it's quite twisted, and I've never read any Penelope Fitzgerald, though I do own the Bookshop, which I should probably read at some point. So there's this one. So yeah, she said it was possibly one of her favourite books ever. So there's that. If I don't like it, I'm blaming Marie. And the next two that I bought are And Other Stories books with gorgeous, gorgeous covers. Look, this is Nowhere People by Paulo Scott, and this is The Alphabet of Birds. So this is Nowhere People by Paulo Scott, who is a Brazilian writer. This work has been translated into English, and it says, driving home, law student Paulo passes a figure at the side of the road. The indigenous girl stands in the heavy rain as if waiting for something. Paulo gives her a lift to her family's roadside camp. Through sudden shifts in the characters' lives, this novel takes in the whole story. Telling of love, loss and family, it spans the worlds of Sao Paulo's rich kids and dispossessed Guarani Indians across Brazil's highways. One man escapes into an immigrant squatter life in London, while another's performance activism leads to unexpected fame on YouTube. Written from the gut, Nowhere People is a raw and passionate classic in the making about our need for a home. The other one, as I said, is The Alphabet of Birds, which was originally written in Afrikaans, and this is being translated into English. It is a short story collection. It says, if death comes to a loved one, can we grieve alone? When all around us is in ruins, can we confine our lives to one beautiful room constructed out of art or love or family ties? And when the words we know prove inadequate, can we turn to the language of birds? It just sounds really beautiful. One of the stories is summarised as a man follows his male lover from London to Berlin's clubbing scene and on to a ruined castle in which the lover's family lives. He is looking for an antidote. I have a feeling about this. I have a feeling, and as always, And Other Stories beautifully produce their books, and these covers are amazing. So I will add those to my to-be read pile. The next one that I bought is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, and I do love in the autumn a lengthy fantasy book that I can disappear into, curled up under a blanket on the sofa with curtains drawn and a cup of tea, and I am so excited about this because so many people love it, and it has been compared to Harry Potter. I hesitate to compare things to Harry Potter because, well, I just do, but I mean, I am excited. I've heard great things. It says, I've stolen princesses back from sleeping barrow kings. I burned down the town of Trebon. I spent the night with Florian and left with both my sanity and my life. I was expelled from the university at a younger age than most people are allowed in. I tread paths by moonlight that others fear to speak of during day. I have talked to gods, loved women, and written songs that make the minstrels weep. Oh, it's got a map at the beginning. I do love books with maps. So there's that. And finally, the last is also a science fiction-y fantasy book that I have bought, and it is this one. It is large. It is a naked hardback with a cut-out front cover. Can we see how beautiful? And it's called Arcadia by Ian Pearce. And I read the blurb of this at the English Bookshop when I was on book tour in Sweden, and I was like, yeah, this is for me, this one. It says 3 interlocking worlds, 4 people looking for answers, but who controls the future or the past? In the basement of a professor's house in Oxford, 15-year-old Rosie goes in search of a missing cat and instead finds herself in a different world. Anterworld is a sun-drenched land of storytellers, prophecies and ritual. But is this world real? And what happens if she decides to stay? Meanwhile, in a sterile laboratory, a rebellious scientist is trying to prove that time does not exist, with potentially devastating consequences. I'm kind of getting a His Dark Materials vibe. Other worlds, time, cats, yeah. And this cover, look, you can see her. She's just in this other world. It's so beautiful. I have such high hopes for this. I really hope it doesn't disappoint. I have a feeling I'll be getting to it very soon, so I'll report back. Those are all the books that I wanted to show you today. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of them or if you would like to check some of them out. I will see you guys very soon. Come back on Tuesday for the His Dark Materials video, and I'll leave a link to the narrative structure video they uploaded yesterday in the description box down below. I love you guys lots. I hope you have a great weekend. Lots of bookish love. Bye.